Greetings. I am Archbishop Richard Gagnon, and I wish to share with you a few words on the vocation to the Permanent Diaconate. You might have first heard the term deacon when listening to the Acts of the Apostles at Mass. In the 6th chapter, we learn of the ordination of the first deacons who were called to serve the needs of the marginalized in the early apostolic community. We also might have been aware that priests are ordained deacons before they become priests. In fact, the Church has two distinct types of deacons. There are the transitional deacons, who will eventually be ordained priests, and there are those who remain as deacons after the ordination. These deacons are called permanent deacons. But in both cases, their ministry is the same. In this message, I wish to focus on the permanent diaconate, which was restored in the Church during the Second Vatican Council in the 1960s. In many ways, this council sought to bring back some of the great characteristics of the early Church, and the permanent diaconate is one of them. The term deacon comes from the word diakonos from the Greek, meaning servant. We often speak of Jesus as a priest, or a prophet, and a king, shepherd king. But we do not often associate Jesus with a servant. Yet the Lord's life was very much concerned with serving and helping those in need. In the Acts of the Apostles, we learn that the apostles were greatly challenged by preaching in a rapidly growing church, and there was need to ordain certain men to fulfill the needs of charity within the community. In other words, these men shared in the ministry of the apostles by doing works of charity, men like St. Stephen and his 6 companions. Of course, the role of servant is not limited to deacons, as Christ's example of service to others is for all the baptized to note and to copy and to emulate. This is at the very core of what it means to be a Christian, what it means to be truly human. In St. Paul's letter to Timothy, his first letter, chapter 3, verses 8 to 13, St. Paul refers to deacons as virtuous men whose example of Christian living was an important witness for the whole community. And furthermore, their service to the needy is a reminder and a symbol to the members of the community of what they should also be and do. The permanent diaconate is a man sent by his bishop to be a sign of diakonos within the Church. He takes his role of service in imitation of Christ. One of the earliest and most fundamental ways of understanding Jesus is as a servant to others. Even the breaking of the bread goes well beyond simple nourishment. Jesus said, "This is my body, which is given up for you." The first deacons distributed food and waited on tables. And there was much more to this than simply handing out food to the poor, even though this is important of itself. The deacon, as an ordained person, represents the whole church, and thus brings Christ to others in a special way. Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI says this very well in Deus Caritas Est. He says, "Seeing with the eyes of Christ, I can give to others more than their outward necessities. I can give them the look of love which they crave." The ministry of charity is at the heart of the deacon's role, and this should permeate all that he does as a minister of the Church, even though he is also called to be a minister of the Word, who proclaims the gospel and preaches. He is called to have a specific role in the liturgy, such as serving at the altar, celebrating baptisms and weddings, as well as certain liturgies of the Word. He performs these ministries as a man modeling Christ's role as a servant, a diakonos. St. John Paul II referred to this when he addressed permanent deacons in 1987. He said, "Yours is not just one ministry among others, but it is truly meant to be a driving force for the Church's diaconia. By your ordination, you are configured to Christ in his servant role. You are also meant to be living signs of servanthood in the Church." Dear friends, I hope these words present to you some fundamental aspects of the permanent diaconate. If you feel that God is calling you to this vocation, and after discussing this matter with your family, speak with your pastor about applying to the Archdiocese of Winnipeg to inquire about our Permanent Diaconate Formation Program. This program has been well established in the City of Winnipeg for many years and serves the 3 archdioceses of Winnipeg and St. Boniface, and lately a third, Keewatin-Lepas. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this message today. May God be with you and your families.